The 1st Delaware, in many aspects, seemed to have an unlucky reputation. They were often the worst possible battlefields of the Civil War. These guys, in a string of battles, seem to have always been placed at the worst possible position on a battlefield. The 1st Delaware Regiment was a regiment enlisted in 1861 through 1865. It fought for the entire 4 years of the Civil War, from the beginning till the bloody end.
The regiment's largely been lost to history. These soldiers, no one has written anything about them in 130 years, and I felt it was an obligation on my part to get it right. The regiment was one of the hardest fighting regiments during the course of the war. What I was trying to do with this book is put these soldiers into larger context of the Civil War conflict. Delaware was a slave state at the time. There were only a handful of slave state regiments that fought in the East. Most of the soldiers were fighting to restore the Union. The larger questions of emancipation, arming slaves, these were issues that border state soldiers struggled with, and they did so for 4 years in the war. A lot of these soldiers' letters and diaries, they haven't been touched by anyone. So I've tapped a lot of resources that I think have been overlooked. Large collection of digital letters from the 1st Delaware. There was a William F. Smith, who was a Dover farmer. He wrote over hundreds of letters to his mother. I had a diary from a Daniel Woodall. He rose in the ranks and eventually was promoted to brigadier general.
In total, more than 2,000 men fought at some point under the guise of the 1st Delaware.
Many of them deserted at the first opportunity. Many didn't. So I've tried to make this an honest assessment of this regiment, warts and all. Some of these guys were very heroic, some of them weren't.
The cover is a picture of the 1st Delaware color guard. We believe the picture was taken in February of 1864. The background of the picture is a photo taken by myself at Antietam. On September 17th, 1862, the 1st Delaware led the assault on what was called the Sunken Road in Antietam in Maryland. It was a bloody day for the regiment. I believe their casualties were in excess of 40%. The title, They Fought for the Union, was from the letters that I've read, the research that I've done. The majority of Delaware soldiers seem to be motivated by a desire to restore the Union. Any issues about freedom, emancipation, arming of black soldiers, they were troubled by that. The chaplain Murphy raced oftentimes about speaking to soldiers who basically told him, look, I'm not here fighting to free slaves. As this war evolved, the war aims evolved. Many of these Delaware soldiers seemed to have a change of heart and finally saw the light and felt that, perhaps they were fighting on the right side of history. I hope the readers would enjoy reading it. It's a regimental history. Now, I know regimental histories have a reputation of being kind of dry reading, and perhaps the only person interested in the regimental history would be someone who had a relative or was a specific Civil War buff. However, I hope I've been successful in this history in the sense that I've tried to place the regiment into the larger context of the overall struggle, all the challenges they felt throughout the Civil War. It's definitely not what you would consider a social history book. I touch on some of the unique aspects of the 1st Delaware, namely their conflict when it comes to the racial component of the 1st Delaware, but it's no, by stretch, any ethnic study. It's definitely a military history book, but tries to at least attempt to paint an accurate picture of these gentlemen.